Hello, this is Miho from Canada, but today I'm from here, the Frankfurt in Mainz, in Germany. So so this is the view. It's a beautiful blue sky, so it looks really nice and sunny. I'm gonna go for a run after this. So anyway, so like I said the last video, that why I'm so big on mindset and being yourself, being authentic, because number one, your life is much easier and lighter, and you can really enjoy. Because I wasn't living myself, I wasn't being authentic. I was pretend to be somebody else, just because I didn't know who I was. Maybe from all kinds of thoughts that's being fed to me while I was growing up, and I had no idea there are so many other thoughts and ideas out there. Literally, I was like living like this, the way I was taught, how the life should be. You shouldn't do this, you mustn't do this, it is impossible, you cannot do this. There's so many restrictions on how things done, and that's how I thought the life would be. And then I started to wonder, so how come there are other people who are so good at things, or successful and healthy and happy at the same time, and I was told that, oh, they're different. It's as if they're born under the different star or something. So, you're not gonna get there. So that kind of thought also engraved in myself too. But it's not really true. And I didn't know that then, and took me so many years of my investment of my time and money to learn what the truth in life, because I was struggling so much to know how come my life is so hard. And I had this mental blocks, so many of them, that I was not worthy, I'm not confident enough, I'm not good enough, I'm bad, I'm just not fit for this, or I'm not made for that, or something in that line, that I was putting myself down by myself. And also, I was brought up in a family, or my parents were very strict. And now I know they follow their belief. The parents should be very strict on the kids, so that kids can be strong once they are out of the house in a society. But to me, it was way too strong, way too strict. There are so many rules to follow, and they wanted to mold me into the ideal daughter of their idea, which wasn't fit for me. And I was rebelled, like I argued. And then when I say things like 10 times over, they just pour so much on me. And I was so hurt, and I was so, my anxiety level shoot up, and I was doubting myself, and it just felt so small. I was like literally inside of the shelf, because I didn't want to get hurt anymore. And that really screwed myself up, and it went on for a long time. And then later on, it turned to become more like a guilt trip that really killed me as well. And it just continued on to my adulthood. And when you have that mental state, everything you see, it's like you're going looking outside with those glasses, right? Color glasses, that you see everything in the world is bad, because you can see through, you're looking at through your own measurement of color of the life. So it just didn't look so good at all. And I was so down, I was so frustrated, I have so much anxieties, and I didn't like myself, and I didn't like what's happening in my life. And my thought process was really poor, always thinking about negative. And even though there are good things, it must have had really good times too, but I take it and twist it into the bad events or bad things. It was just my habit, like really bad habits that I was, practicing for years and years, maybe inherited from, parents, looking at them more. And it was very toxic in the family, like toxic in the air in the family. I really didn't have a place to feel relieved. And when you go out, it's even worse because there's so many people who give you so many different thoughts and the ideas, and it's just like a war zone out there too. So when I come home, I just wanted to relax, but I was constantly being monitored or and judged or supervised to the point like I felt like I couldn't breathe anymore, suffocated almost. So I didn't like those feelings of myself, like always not clear, agitated, anxiety level is really up and not stabilized. There is no word like a peace. And at the same time, I'm looking at people who are living such a beautiful life. It seems like wealthy, happy, healthy at the same time. And I start observing those people. That really clicked to me. And also I was thinking, like, why am I born in this earth, this planet? Why is it in Japan? Why is it this time? Start studying about history, and you start to wonder, why am I here for? But when you say things like that, when I was a kid, people kind of look at you funny, or it's just they don't even take you seriously. And I was told off, like, you should pay attention to something like useful or something. So I start to shut up and try not to think too much about that, but I always wondered. But now, when I see from the big picture, I chose my parents. I chose to be born that environment so that I learned what I needed to learn. And it was painful, but at the same time, I really understand how the mind works, how people behave. And probably I have more sensitivity as a child as well, so I start to observe more people's feelings and how they behave, because especially in the house, I was constantly being judged and monitored. So I was always searching their mood because I didn't want to really rub them in the wrong way, get scolded at or yelled at unnecessarily. So to avoid that, to be a survival mode, I was constantly observing the energy. So maybe that's part of it that I've been practicing over the years in my childhood, to see the energy level, how they are. Anyway, besides that point, but because I had such a struggle, such a dark time in my life, and the life didn't run the way you want if you have this mental state, because your state of being is so low, and you say, if you argue with your parents or somebody, and they complain in so much, but if you're arguing with them, you're putting your level, the conscious level, down to their level too. So you feel bad after, and if you don't recognize what your state is, instead of being happy and joyful and peaceful and harmonized, that's where you want to be, but instead you put your conscious level down to the complaining and looking always for the faults and angry and anxieties and all those negative feelings, and you don't need to put your conscious level down to their level. When you learn that, you start to really brush them off in a way that it doesn't bother you as much. You feel, what they're saying, you don't like it, but you don't take it internally really deep to hurt yourself. It's more like protecting yourself, more like cutting the intangible relationship, the cord, like a string that attached to people, especially the family, whether the relationship is great or really bad, you still are really strongly attached because of family relationship. So you start to really cut those a connection too. It doesn't mean you're cutting like actual relationship. That doesn't do any good because you feel it and you keep it as a very heaviness energy in yourself. So it just means that you need to really sort it out or put the boundaries or separate yourself from theirs. And often when you feel bad or not, good, it usually doesn't come from yourself. Usually you feel it from outside, other people's thoughts and angers and anxiety. So that really affecting what you feel. So you learn that separations that really put you in a good state for a long time. And what I did was I have so many beliefs, like unlimited beliefs. So I very worked hard to get, to release those beliefs that I've been carrying it for years. Maybe when you're little, you need it, but now as an adult, it's no longer needed. Those old beliefs that no longer serving you, you try to release those. And then number two, the past memories. If you have this bad situation where you felt really bad, for instance, you did something silly and the people or friends in the classroom laughed at you. They didn't really, think too much about it, but when you were, put on your spot, you felt really bad. And you still remember those feelings, and every time you have something similar, it pops up and you start to add more to it. And the memory is something that it fades away. Like you still have the feeling, but actual facts, like no one really remembers all the details. That's the memory is. So you just remember those feelings that you felt that time. And you can just alter it. You can just change those memories by using your imaginations, because no one's going to quote you to all the details. It's all about what you feel from that event. And when you remember those events 10 years later, maybe 20, 30 years later, you've grown up, you have different energy level. So what you felt then and what you're feeling now will be totally different. So you can just change those memories and keep it to your likings. And for instance, okay, they laugh at you, you felt really bad, but you say to yourself, well, I was strong enough to, hold it. So no one really knew that I was hurt. And that was a good lesson that, I can still keep going. And I'm very strong to go through that experience. And that's it. You don't hang on and dwell on those feelings. And that was the one experience. And now you can feel, what other people might feel if that is the same situation. So you know what to heal those pain for other people if they faced, something similar to that. So you have empathy from that experience, right? So something like that, you just change it to your advantage. And the number 3 is to raise your conscious level. So if you're really low and you attract those low, conscious level people, and you want to keep your conscious level really high, like happy and joyful, peaceful, harmonized, the really good place, comfortable. In order to do that, you need to be really align yourself, be yourself. Otherwise, you're really shaky. You're not sure about who you really are. Any good thoughts or techniques not really stick with you because you're not really sure to yourself. So work on yourself to be yourself. And it's okay if that's not what other people want, because other people have their own self. So it's okay to have your own, right? And you understand. Also, the last one is you understand that there's no above you or below you. Everybody is equal. What I mean by that is, like, for instance, parents think, they are above the kids. Kids are below me, or that person is so high up and I'm so low. And then when you separate that, it really creates the gap in between. And I think all the individual people have a beautiful soul, a great things. They just don't see it, or they don't know they have a beautiful gift inside of themselves. They have so much power, and they just haven't found it yet to embrace it. So you really look at people or look at yourself. You have beautiful things inside, and we are all equal. There's no no above or below. And of course, as a parent, out of love, you teach the basic things, right, to help them to navigate their lives really nicely. But they have their beautiful thing inside too. So it's not like you're totally superior than kids. Kids will learn because they need a time to learn to walk and talk, and they have a long way to go, but they're doing a very rapid growth, right? So they have beautiful thing as well inside. So you just adapt that concept. When you have somebody close by, especially that they don't want to change to be better, or like always being miserable, there's a thing called free will. So the world, the universe is letting us to be just ourselves. They're not allowed to force us to change. So they're just looking at us and just let us be. That's why we killed so many people just to solve the problems. And we learn over the years of wars that we don't need to kill people just to get the solutions, right? There are other ways to settle things. So over the years and decades and thousands of years, we learn so much about humans, and we'll continue expand, the relationship on this earth. And it's cross-cultural and now globalized, and now this coronavirus, like we all in on one thing. So it's not just, our country is great, I'm good, you guys are different. We are all in this, at the same time. So it's really globalized, right? So we have this understanding of accepting a different countries, different background, different cultures and languages. It's all beautiful, right? So we evolve. So focusing on yourself, to be yourself, makes yourself really happy. If all the individuals did that, what we have on this earth, a beautiful, happy people. They don't need to argue unnecessarily, right? They don't need to kill each other just because it just, it's all inside of you. And people who, do bad things or, agitated, they're not fulfilled. That's why they're taken out of other people. They take the energy out of other people because they don't just know. They have the beautiful power to generate their own energy to make themselves happy. And first, it's all on yourself. It's treating yourself happy and stabilize and peaceful and harmonize with yourself. And if you have that, it really generates out of you as a really good power, good vibration, and the people around you start to feel that energy, and then like you start to really affect them in a good way. For instance, if you have a really mad, irritated, agitated, temper person, and here there's a nice smiley, kind, warm, sincere person, and you feel the difference, right? They don't need to say a word, but you feel it, right? So we are that sensitive to catch, the existence without being told. So focus on yourself, to be really yourself, be in a comfortable spot. And that's, I wanted to show how I did it over the years, because I couldn't do it, and I struggled so many years and decades, bad relationship with my own parents, and now it's been so improved and life has really changed, and I feel so much lighter, so much better, and start to liking myself and start to grow. And it's a forever thing, and it will continue. So I will keep updating myself, but to where I'm at, everybody can do it. Everyone can get out of that dark zone if you guys are in a dark zone, or you can strengthen your mindset to do something different, and you could do that too. So that's why I'm so big on being yourself and being authentic, and self-care. Okay, so thank you very much, and see you soon.